Welcome to Bargain Saturdays. Well, instead of looking at a movie this week, I decided to look at 5 episodes of the 40's Superman cartoon, which I got a collection of 17 episodes for $5. And to be honest, I would go into details about the 5 episodes, but they basically follow the same plot structure outside of the first episode, which tells us the backstory of Superman. And unlike the backstory most people are used to, this doesn't involve the Kents. In fact, the origin story used in the 40's cartoon, I guess, is based on the original comic and just says that Kent was picked up by some random motorist and dropped off at an orphanage. So, if you want, so I guess we don't really have the Kents in the 40's cartoon. At least it doesn't look like it. The first 5 episodes don't mention them at all, at least. But structure-wise, there's like little differences between all 5 episodes. Basically, it'll start with the manager at the Daily Prophet getting a tip about some big scoop. Lois either getting sent in to investigate said scoop or choosing to do so on her own. Lois then gets in serious trouble and needs to be rescued. Superman, I should say Clark Kent, finds out about about what's going on, and then walks away and declares, "This is a job for Superman!" And he has to change the tonal inflection when he says his superhero character's name. He then walks away and changes. Well, I guess I should say he's walking away as he says that, and changes his outfit, and you get to see the shadow as he's doing it. And then he leaps into action to go save the day. And I say leap because in the early episodes, at least, or I've seen, he can't fly yet. I know from what I saw on Wikipedia that the 40's cartoon was the one that introduced Superman's flight abilities, but in the early episodes, it seems he's still stuck with leaping. In fact, the early episodes of the 40's cartoon seems to show how weak Superman used to be as a character. I mean, he's stronger than a locomotive and faster than a bullet, but he still can be stopped by relatively easy things. Like even tear gas was able to at least temporarily delay him. And he was tangled up in electric wires at one point, and that slowed him down for a bit as well. And there's time when debris fell on him, and it took him a couple seconds to get out of that as well. I mean, he's not the Superman of the modern comics where he's like has infinite speed and almost infinite strength and whatnot, so he can't travel faster than the speed of light. His powers are more, I guess, maybe not reasonable with today's expectations, but maybe a bit more believable. A bit. I mean, he's still faster than a bullet and stronger than a locomotive here. Even though these are more like steam engines, because we see the coal in the one episode that actually has a train in it, that involves a train robbery, and Lois somehow ends up being the driver. Though it is sort of strange seeing Lois Lane pick up and fire a machine gun at people. Though that might be one of the few times she actually does anything proactive. Well, I guess she's always proactive. It's just one of the few times she doesn't instantly like get caught and in trouble for it. Though eventually she does get in insurmountable trouble when they blow up the tracks underneath her while she's crossing a bridge. Oops. So yeah, you watch Lois play damsel in distress every episode, which would probably bug some people, but you gotta remember, it's the 40's. So I guess you gotta let it slide a bit because of how old it is. Though I've also noticed that most the villains in the 40's cartoon, at least the first 5 episodes, have very little and distinguishing characteristics. Like in the origin story one, the first episode, the villain's called the Mad Scientist. I'm not kidding. He's simply called the Mad Scientist. They don't give him an actual name. In the second episode, you have a villain who controls mechanical monsters, but they only refer to the mechanical monsters in the episode when it comes to the... Oh yeah, I guess I did forget to mention that part of the episodes. Whenever the episodes conclude, Clark tells Lois what a great story she did, and Lois thanks Superman, and then Clark gives a little wink, nudge, nod of the hat at the people watching the cartoon. Like, yeah, I know what's going on. I know you know too. In fact, the most interesting episode might be the Arctic Giant, where we have like a precursor to Godzilla, kinda, sort of, where where scientists find a monster frozen in ice and bring it back to Metropolis, and of course, while Lois is there, the machine that produces the cold air to keep the ice refrigerated and keep it frozen starts to breaks, and then the ice melts, and then the monster comes back to life, because you gotta have that element, and then you watch it burst out of the building and go on a rampage. But I think the funniest part of that episode might be watching firefighters trying to stop a monster with fire hoses. I mean, I realize you might rush to put out fires caused during a monster attack with fire hoses, but why would you try to stop a giant monster with fire hoses? I'm just saying. As far as their quality, I guess there might be what you expect from a 40's short, because all 17 episodes in total are only about 2.5 hours in length. So if I split these up into chunks, I'm not going to even be watching like an hour worth of content, really. Then again, I don't have usually that much to say about movies anyway, and I'm not sure if I'll continue talking about Superman the rest of the month, if all the rest of the episodes are like the first 5, because I basically have to repeat myself all over again. Maybe I'll stop and comment on the episode where he gains his flight powers, maybe, if it's in those 17 episodes. Maybe. I think next week we'll be doing a movie, though, because it's more interesting than watching Superman stop a mad scientist or mechanical monsters or a giant ice monster. I think the most interesting villains so far were the Bulleteers, because everyone else was like masked. The only other villains you had were like masked robbers that drove a pretty impressively equipped car with bulletproof windows. Not bulletproof windows, they had metal windows that came down, so you'd have just enough room to shoot out a gun out of it. Though you don't see the gun barrel, I don't think, like, sticking out of the window. Which sounds dangerous, don't you think so? I have to go back and check. I got sort of uninterested in the cartoon because it kept repeating itself so much. It really does need to have a change of formula or pacing or something. I guess if it gets better, I'll let you guys know. But otherwise, I would say the 40's cartoon just isn't really worth watching.